If you've ever wanted to make a sound, a track, an instrument sound old after it's been recorded, this video is all about that. I'm going to walk you through how I do it and how I've learned to do it from watching other YouTubers and from other classes and learning and reading about how people do it. And I'm going to share that knowledge with you. My name is Zion, and I am the founder of the Triple Threat Artist Online Production Course. If you're interested in producing your own music, becoming a triple threat, which is a singer, songwriter, producer, you want to check us out. We've got a lot of great information. Myself and my friend Josh, who's an amazing producer, we create content for young producers, people that are trying to produce on their own, to help them get to where we've gotten, which is having some success, being able to sell songs, working for other artists, getting asked and paid to produce other people, getting songs that we've produced into film, TV, and get licensed. If you would like to learn from us, check out the links below. All right, let's get into this. I'm going to show you how to create that old vintage sound. So let's start off talking about this track here. This is a lo-fi track that for our the channel that I'm the music manager for, called Lo-Fi Panda Music. Check us out. And this is one of my producers put this together. It's really great. Great little song. Got a great background vibe. You can do homework to or whatever. There's a sound in here that's this really cool Rhodes organ that I really like. Sounds like this. It's got a great vibe to it. It's that old electric piano. And I want to make this sound even more vintage. I want to really make it sound older. So one of the very first things you should do, oftentimes, is reach for your EQ and pull down some of the high end. So we're going to do that in this. This actually has some stereo width to it too, but I'm going to pull down some of that low end, the high frequencies, okay? And I should say that node 2 is actually sidechained to the kick drum, and that's why you're seeing it move up and down. This particular instrument doesn't have a lot of real high frequencies in it, which is totally fine. So it's not super noticeable. But I've got that EQ going on. The next thing you want to do is try to figure out some way of making the pitch warble or wobble, or however you want to say that, oscillate. And there's different ways of doing it. I'm going to use a tool called RC20. It's one of my favorite tools that I've purchased over the last year. And this makes anything sound really old, really fast. Now, I'm going to illustrate these ideas using this tool because it's just a lot easier than me trying to use a bunch of different tools for this video, but the concept is all the same. Whether you use this tool or not, the concepts apply. So the very first thing we want to do is we want to find a good wobble. Now, in this tool, there's a whole area right here for wobbling, and there's two different types of wobbles. It basically gives you a really fast one. They call it a flutter, and then a slow wobble, which is called a wow. So we're going to put it all the way over to the wow and find a good slow wobble that sounds like the tape or is playing back, like the tape machine has a bad playback engine in it. I'm going to turn up the gain a little bit on this. So we can switch that around. We can add a little more or a little less. That would be an extreme. I don't want to do that. I want to kind of bring it back here. And now let's add a little flutter to this as well. That would be extreme, so we're not going to do that. We're going to bring it down here. I like that. And there's different areas in this that you can tweak and stuff. This is kind of a randomizer, and this is sort of a steady speed of the sine wave. All right, let's add some noise now to this. And a lot of old tape machines and vinyl have a crack and a pop to it, and tape machines often have hisses to it. Kids' tape machines were things we used to listen to music on. All right, I'm being stupid. So this is the cassette sound. We're going to cycle through some of these. Nice. So now we have a little bit of crack and pop from a vinyl, and we can tweak that if we wanted to, but that sounds pretty good to me. And now we can add a little saturation or distortion. Distortion is just extreme saturation, so they're often interplayed as far as how you talk about them. Distortion adds harmonics, basically. Sometimes those harmonics sound rough, and sometimes they sound really good. So let's see if we can add a little distortion to this. I like that. There's some nice kind of warm tubes that are it's just a little oversaturated in there. Sounds good. I like that. If we wanted to, we could add some digital distortion. I don't like this so much. It'll make your song sound distorted, but it'll be much more modern sounding. I don't want that. Space, we can give it some space and decay, but I really want it dry. Magnetic is just like, if it's being played off of a tape, sometimes you'll have little dropouts and stuff like that from the wear of the tape. So let's see how that would sound. So I don't necessarily think that's really adding a whole lot, but I'm going to keep it on. It definitely sounds a little more like a tape, a bad tape where sometimes the stereo even cuts out a little bit. So anyway, the point of this is to understand how you could use this. You could use this on vocals or all kinds of things, but the very first thing I would do is definitely cut the high end of your frequencies. This actually has an EQ in it, and I can cut that here. It's already kind of preset to be cut. And it's using a low pass filter. There's a hard cut and a soft cut. So start with the EQ. You want to make sure your EQ makes it sound dull. Things that sound real bright and tinny usually sound more modern. As things age, the old mediums like tapes and vinyls, as they age, they actually sounded much more dull. So you want to do that. I usually like to start with a wobble to add a little bit of variation in the pitch. Then from there, you're just kind of adding, everything else is sort of gravy. A little distortion, if you want that, a little noise like the crack and hiss. Sometimes that can be a mixed nightmare, though, so be careful with that. Also, when you're introducing hiss and you're introducing cracks, those are high frequencies, and you may have to dull those out as well. And you can there's a tone knob in this. And then if you want to add some magnetic wear to it, I would love to know what is under the hood and what makes this software actually do its thing, but it is pretty cool. Again, this is RC20. I like this a lot. I think this I can't remember who makes this. I'll put the link below, but XLN Audio is who makes it. But it's one of my favorite go-to plugins for making things old. I used to have to do a lot of this work manually to make things sound old and use like LFOs to move the pitch around like this, and then grab a sample off of Splice and mix that in, and for the hiss of a cassette, and then put it through some distortion. I have to do all this stuff manually, one step at a time. Now I can just grab a preset in here, and they're usually really quite good. All right, so that is basically it. I'm going to put it on one more instrument, and let's see how that sounds. Let's find another part in this song. There's a guitar part in here. Yeah, here we go. So I've already done it to this track, but let's take it off and see how it sounds. I'm going to put this here. So there was already a little bit of warble going on in the sample, but I made it even more extreme by adding RC20 to it, and this is how it sounded. In the mix. And one of the things I like to do is, because those strings, those pizzicato strings, are very, very clean sounding, and this is kind of warbly sounding, there's a contrast there. And I like that contrast, because on one hand, your ears are hearing something very clean, and on the other hand, they're hearing it gives a lot more flavor to the song if there's differences. So contrast is such an important tool in your production arsenal. All right, guys, I hope that helped. If you have any questions, hit me up below. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Peace.